Welcome, everybody. We are here continuing our work at the big rock show in Corpus Christi, the Heirs of Dominion-Battle of the Bands 2013. Brings me great pleasure to welcome from right here in Corpus Christi the band who won it all tonight, the band called Mariam. Welcome, gentlemen, to the program. It's my honor to interview you guys as the elite band in Corpus Christi for this year.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
James.
James, Jason,
and David.
Gentlemen, there's a lot of people tonight who, for the first time, are hearing about Mariam and, aren't familiar with Corpus Christi at all. We came down here to really support this event, and we're turned on to a bunch of great bands. You guys were the winners, but at the same time, I have to say that, I was really impressed with all the talent here this evening. Talk a little bit about, first of all, the history of Mariam. How long have you been together? Things of that nature.
Well, Mariam's probably been together for about 3 years now, and it really began as a metal worship service. So we still do that, a metal worship service every Sunday night over in Corpus Christi.
At a church?
Yeah, at a church.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, that was a tough thing for a long time for a lot of people, but we just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And so that's how the band began, and we started taking it seriously, probably as a like going out, playing in bars, doing this kind of stuff about a year, almost 2 years now. So that's about how long the band's been going. It's gone through member changes, but as of 2 years ago, it's been pretty set, and this is the lineup you've seen, except for we used to have a guy named Brian who was the vocalist, and we had a guy named Kevin who used to play guitar who went to the Air Force very recently, actually.
So tonight, when we had a chance to chat this morning, you said, Rob, we're kind of like, we're a mix of a lot of different things, but think of us kind of in the As I Lay Dying mode, and I'm a huge As I Lay Dying fan, and that's kind of how they started out, kind of, in the secular circles, playing to kids who loved heavy music, but were yet a very Christian band. Musically, you guys are a little different, though. Really brutal, providing kind of the heaviness and the melodic and this a very elaborate kind of energetic type of stage presence. So for people out there who are not from Corpus, if you guys eventually break out, what can they expect when they see Mariam play live? You guys, like I said, you guys really impacted me tonight.
We like to do a show that's engaging, so I like to try to, on the stage, teach people lyrics, because a lot of times this is the first time seeing us, especially starting out. So we want to engage them in some way without them ever having to have seen us before. And we're energetic, and they can expect us to jump out, get in the crowd, and be crazy. I mean, jump around, move around, all of us, falling, whatever happens, we just keep breaking the stage. That's happened before. Just to the point to where they know that this is where our heart is, and that's why we're up here, because we're passionate about what we do it for, and we love each other. So it's like a community type event for us, and we don't see Mariam necessarily as just those 6 guys. We see it as everybody who showed up that night, because those aren't our, the songs don't belong to us. They only belong to they belong to all of us when we sing them together. I mean, that's the only time they ever have any meaning. When we're just band practicing, that's just whatever. But when we actually do it here and everybody's singing the words, I think that's what gives life or meaning to what we're doing.
Okay, so let's take a step back. I was
sorry.
Before we started.
Sorry, bro.
No. Before we started rolling, I was talking some crazy banter about your name, Mariam. So let's talk a little bit about the name Mariam. Where is that from? My guys and I were talking about that this evening.
Well, Mariam, it kind of came about from a sermon I was giving at the metal service. And we had about 6 band names at the time that we were tossing around before we actually got really out there. And the sermon was called Mariam with a Cause, because Mariam is the Aramaic name for Mary Magdalene, the mother of Jesus. And so the name actually means rebel with a cause. And we've always felt like we're rebels with a cause, like revolting against something with a purpose instead of rebels without a cause, as James Dean would, have said.
It was not about the wicked stepsister.
Sorry.
It was about Mary Magdalene.
It's not as
Very much, yeah.
Wow. See, that's why I ask these questions, gentlemen, so I can get to the heart of who the band is. So tonight we experienced the Heirs of Dominion-Battle of the Bands. This was our first time ever coming to this event. I know that it's been happening in a few years now. I know it will continue to happen. What did you think of the show tonight, as far as the turnout, as far as the organization of the event? Were you happy with how everything turned out?
Oh yeah, it was great. There was great audience participation. Everybody everybody came out to support local music, which was the real big thing tonight. I mean, it was about supporting local bands and trying to get people's music out there. And like you said earlier, it was a lot of great talent. And I think it went off with a bang. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of good bands. I mean, in the running this evening were Mariam and the Marcus Effect, I thought, who was another great act this evening, and probably the only act that was at y'all's guys' level. Because there was bands at different levels this evening of professionalism, and I thought y'all two, being the finalists, was correct, and that you guys were the best bands who really had your music and your performance all kind of coordinated and very professional. So now that you guys have won this event, another accolade to the resume. Let's talk a little bit about your CD. You were telling me it came out at the beginning of this year, so it's a brand new release. Tell us a little bit about the new disc.
Well, we wrote that over the course of about 6 to 7 months. It has 9 songs. It's called Mariam, All Is Grace. So if you search it for it on iTunes, Spotify, you can listen to it for free. On Spotify, you can listen to it for free. So search Mariam, All Is Grace. And all the songs are just songs from the heart, songs we've written since the beginning. And there's kind of prayers in between the songs. And really the whole CD is dedicated to a guy that actually passed away a couple days ago, really. And his name was Brendan Manning. And he had a book called All Is Grace that meant a lot to some of us. And his words meant a lot because he just taught us about what I think it really was to follow Jesus. Just from a guy who was an alcoholic, a drunk, a priest, and then not a priest, and then all kinds of stuff. So for us, that was a guy who was a huge influence on us wanting to even do what we do now. Without his influence, I think I wouldn't have gotten to know Jesus as well as I think a lot of us have. And so that CD is just kind of an expression of all that.
I noticed, and I remember this evening when you said, unlike, many reborn Christians, that I did not have to go through this tough trial or this really deep low. And I would say to you, then you're a lucky dude. Because a lot of people, like, for example, I've interviewed Brian Head Welch from Korn, who had to become was a meth addict and lost his wife and had lived terrible trials to come to Christ. It took him all that. So, and you guys or at least you, did not really have to go through that.
I guess the more honest answer would be that Jesus made my life harder. Like, other than, like, it made everything better. Because I think that's the problem. A lot of times, like, hey, dude, kneel down, say this prayer, and your life's going to be great. And the truth of it is that it's hard. It's really hard to follow Jesus. It's really hard to truly, be love your enemies. I mean, we say it all the time, but, to actually live that life is tough. To give of ourselves, to sacrifice what we have, to actually die. I mean, that whole idea of, giving up everything we've loved and everything we've held true to our lives and sacrifice and love other people to the point where we're not against anything. We're just simply for people that are broken, for people that are on the margins. I mean, that's what he's about too. I mean,
now that it seems that Mariam is on a rise here in Corpus. I'm sure you guys will continue to work hard. What is the plan thereafter? If you conquer Corpus, what will you do? What do you want to do? Do you want to tour outside of Corpus? Do you want to try to get signed? Do you want to do it DIY? What do you see for the future of for Mariam?
Well, I mean, like you said, there's all those different things. There's the touring. There's the maybe you get signed, maybe you don't. Maybe you do it all yourself, which that's how it's been so far. We've had to fund ourselves, which takes a lot out of us, but there's a purpose, and we do it because we love it. And yes, it has been paying off majorly. Not with money, but it was never about the money. Never about the money. But yes, it's paid off big time in my life and his life and his life and all the guys in the band's lives. We're all better for it. We're all better for the service that started it all. So from here, whichever way it goes, I feel like we accomplished what we originally started wanting to do. Get out there, tell the people the message, have fun with them, play some music, maybe make a CD to kind of immortalize what we've been working on, and in my eyes, we've reached that point. So whatever happens now is just gravy.
Hopefully, guys, after this evening, we can continue to stay in contact, and maybe I can bring you guys up to San Antonio to do a show. I don't know if you guys ever played San Antonio.
No, we played New Braunfels, but we never got it. Which is actually farther.
Well, I will tell you this: San Antonio is a metal town, and you will definitely have to earn your stripes. But you know what? If you're going to earn your stripes anywhere in Texas in metal, it's in San Antonio. So, I mean, I'd love to bring you guys up. I think you guys, what I love to see in young bands is that one that, they're totally 100% passionate about what they're doing, and secondly, that you give 110% on stage, and I think that's what really impressed people here the most this evening. So, as we end out, anything I missed, anything you want to talk about with regards to Mariam?
Just honestly, that's I have nothing really else to say. I mean, we're just a band of brothers that try to fight for what's true and right in this world and never stop fighting.
And I want to kind of also immortalize this interview even further by saying, like, I'm kind of like I'm a Christian. I'm a Catholic. And, I see all the crazy things that are happening in our world right now. And, the Boston thing, the Boston bombing, marathon bombing just happened last week. And, I think people are still kind of coming back from that. So now we know that they killed one of the guys. They caught one of the guys. I mean, what were your thoughts, not about the event itself, but about our world and this life and people who are living in this world these days? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we're called not to fear. We're called not to fear anything. Jesus rose from the dead, and I think to live a resurrected life is to live a life void of fear. So these things that are trying to make us and entrench us in our fear, I think they should have no power. And I know that at moments like that you get scared, but I think if we could look for anything that maybe is somewhat good about something like what has been going on, is we can feel solidarity or feel at one with the people in Syria that are going through those bombings all the time, people in Iraq, Afghanistan that are continuing. And those people are people too. And I know that what you don't see is a lot of times what you forget about, or out of sight, out of mind is, I guess, the expression. But something like this can really help us hold tighter and point people to the one, I think, that died, to remind us that we're all one when we suffer together, and we can suffer together, and we can overcome some of these things because we have no fear, because we know the one who's overcome it. And this world can be a much, much better place if we're to come together and just say, you know what, we're not going to have any of this. We have a vision towards a future where the heaven and earth become one, a world where there will be no rape, murder, war, hatred, injustice, bombings. All that stuff will be void of existence, because we will live in a world in which we are all one, and one with God, able to show who we really are. I think it's something I struggle with, is just being who I am. Just truly being who I am. A guy who enjoys beer.
A metal rocking crazy vocalist up on stage, huh?
Whatever, man. Some people can't accept that. That's hard, but
hey,
but whatever.
They just don't get it, man. They're not as open and free spiritually as you are. Gentlemen, thank you. It's been my pleasure to interview you this evening. Again, congratulations for winning the big Heirs of Dominion-Battle of Bands 2013 here in Corpus Christi. You guys delivered all the way around. I'll say it again. Remember, everyone, you got the info you need to look for them online. You saw them only on Rob's MetalWorks.